Let's go straight into it. News Central now. This hour begins in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will swear in 7 new ministers on Monday, a step seen as crucial in his administration's restructuring. Bayo Nanuga, the president's special advisor on information and strategy, announced the ceremony. The new ministers approved by the Senate last week will lead key sectors. Appointments include Dr. Nintawe Yewata for humanitarian affairs and poverty reduction, Muhammadu Megari Dingari for labor and employment, and Bianca Odinaka Udumegu Juku for state foreign affairs. Other appointments are Dr. Jumoke Uduwole, Minister of Trade and Investment, Idi Mukhtar Meha, Minister of Livestock Development. We also have Yusuf Abdullahi Atta, Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development, and Dr. Shuaiba Said Ahmed, Minister of State for Education. This reshuffle follows months of public calls for reforms. The presidency has denied claims that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is favoring the Southwest in security appointments. Critics questioned the appointment of Major General Oluremi Oluyede as acting chief of army staff, alleging regional bias. However, presidential advisor on public communications Sunday Dare refuted this on social media, providing a breakdown of appointments across regions. According to Dare, the Northwest leads with 8 security appointees, followed by the Southwest with 5, North Central with 4, Northeast with 3, and 1 each from the South-South and Southeast. Dare stated, facts don't lie. The data shows a balanced approach to security appointments. The claim of favoritism does not fit. End of quote. Meanwhile, the Senate has pledged to eliminate illegal activities in Nigeria's mining sector to protect lives and increase federal revenue. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals, Senator Samson Ekong, emphasized this commitment during a visit to Niger State Governor Sani Bago. The committee's visit follows the recent collapse of a mining pit in Shiroro, which claimed around 30 lives. Senator Ekong, along with other committee members, expressed condolences to the people of Niger State and outlined the Senate's plan to investigate the causes and prevent future tragedies. Ekong noted that unauthorized mining practices continue to undermine Nigeria's multi-billion-dollar mining sector, posing environmental and safety risks due to unregulated crude operations. To politics now, River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has revealed that the current political crisis rocking the state is for the sole control of the state resources. This is as he has assured Rivers people that he will continue to utilize the state's resources judiciously for the betterment and overall interest of the people. Governor Fubara made the revelation at an event in Bodo Alu near Port Harcourt on Sunday. The governor, however, sued for continuous prayers from the church in order for his administration to remain focused with a view to achieving the purpose of governance.
God will bless your people for your prayers, and we assure you we will not fail you. We will not fail you. There is a reason for all this crisis, and that reason is the control of the resources of River State. River State resources belong to you, and we will make sure that that resources is applied judiciously for the betterment of River State. What you owe us is just one thing: continue to pray for us. Let us not lose focus, because we know the devil is always at work to derail people in governance. Continue to pray for us so that we hold what is most important, the interests of the people there. And I believe with your prayers, we will not lose focus. The purpose of governance will be achieved in our state.
Dangote Refinery has clarified its petrol pricing following claims by the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, and Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Petron, that they are importing cheaper fuel. Responding to IPMAN's statement, Dangote confirmed that it sells petrol at 990 naira per litre into trucks and 960 naira per litre into ships, adhering to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited NNPCL pricing benchmark. In a statement signed by Anthony Chejina, Group Chief Branding and Communications Officer, Dangote noted concerns of an international company using a nearby depot to blend and sell substandard fuel to compete with their higher quality products. The statement warned of health risks and vehicle damage from low-quality imports, criticizing regulatory agencies for insufficient testing capabilities. Following the victory of candidates at the Abia State local government elections, the state's Independent Electoral Commission has presented certificates of return to the people declared winners of the November 2nd local government election in the state. The chairman of the commission, Professor George Chima, on Saturday night declared 17 people from the Zenith Labour Party and Young Progressive Party winners of the election. He told the chairman-elect that the only document which qualifies them for inauguration is a certificate of return. Mayor-elect for Isuikwuato local government area, Chinedu Ekeke, says he will ensure that his area is lifted out of poverty in his time.
That today we have been able to conclude a task that ordinarily will take some 6 to 12 months. We have been able to complete it under 2 months. The results have been published. I congratulate the winners. I also congratulate the losers. In an election, there must be a winner and there must be a loser. Thank God that Abia has been peaceful, and I want them to maintain that peace and harmony that has been existing in Abia State.
Welcome back. The 5 Nigerian boys who were rescued from the den of traffickers in Ghana have arrived in Nigeria and have reunited with their families in Nigeria. They are currently in New Central's building. You will recall that 2 teenage boys, Daniel and Zil, who had been lured to Ghana in a guise of job opportunities but ended up with traffickers who had deployed them to work in internet fraud activities, had sent out an SOS that got to New Central. Acting on the information from their family and following in-depth investigation, New Central had teamed up with the Ghanaian Police Service to successfully rescue them and 3 other Nigerian teenagers and a Ghanaian on Monday, 28 October. The police also arrested 2 suspects who are helping with further investigations. The rescued Nigerian boys are on their way home now to Nigeria, and now that they're in Nigeria, I beg your pardon, the rescued boys are looking forward to indeed meet with their family. But to continue the discussion, I'm joined by Marshall Onoye. Marshall did join us earlier on Breakfast Central. Marshall, thanks again for being here. And once again, great job, well done. We need to say that, well done. First off, tell us, how strenuous was it for you in the past weeks, especially having gotten this story? And one of the major questions everyone is asking, even on the social media space, simply is, what was the process that led to rescuing these boys? So how did it start off first? Did it start off from you getting the message? How did you act on it and so on? Please go ahead and tell us.
Thank you very much, Joe. It started with a message from one of them who had a laptop at his disposal that was given to him to use to intercept or to carry out his function as, one of the persons that was supposed to be like a fraudster. Eventually, when he had that access, he was able to send an internal message on social media, on Instagram. And then when we got that, we were able to coach him to say these are things we needed from him so we could get his location. Remember that these boys didn't even know where they were. They weren't even allowed to come out of the room where they were kept. So they couldn't describe the house. They couldn't describe the street. They didn't know the location. So, but we had to coach them on how to, get the coordinates and that coordinates was what really started it all. With that coordinate, we were able to then advance our own tracking. And then we contacted the Ghanaian police and they told us to come down. And when we got there, we showed them the data we had and they were impressed as well. And like I said in the report, they didn't spare anything. They jumped right into, getting to the operation. They put up a team together, about 20 men, and we had 2 vehicles, swung to action, and we got to the location, found out the place was under lock and key from the outside and the inside. They had locked these boys in, the room was locked, the entire building was locked, and then the gates too were locked from the outside. You had shrubs and grasses growing all around the compound. Eventually we gained access and found the boys there. It was strenuous, yes. The entire thing was strenuous, getting them out, but then we weren't focusing on this, on the strenuousness. We were focused on the victory that we're overwhelmed by the victory, I'd say.
No doubt, I think the results are very, very positive. Could you also let us into what interpolicing, especially with Ghana and Nigeria, can actually portend, especially what it means for Africa as a whole? Because we've seen the partnership between Nigeria here, of course, New Central, and the Ghanaian Police Service, where the work in tandem has yielded good results like these. What would you say about future collaborations and working with the likes of the Interpol and the likes to ensure that these things can be curbed?
Well, it's necessary for us to have these kind of collaborations, but I must say that it was disheartening to find out that these parents had, before reaching us, they had cried out to the police station within their area, and they were turned out. They were turned away, and when we came into it and they told me that they had reached out to the police station, I insisted again. I said, look, do a petition properly, because they just went there and probably to the police, they appeared to have been constituting nuisance, maybe crying and not following the proper chain. So I said to them, do a petition. I helped them, I sampled a petition to them, and then they brought a petition and took it up as well, and they were still turned away. Eventually I, put a call to the state CID, and I had that same petition submitted at the state CID. And then it was submitted. We had an acknowledged copy, and then we went with that same acknowledged copy to Ghana, just in case it was asked if the report was made, we would have something on ground. So talking about collaboration, but then again, the Ghana police didn't need any of that. They just wanted to save life. They just wanted to swing to action to get these boys out and reunited with their families. It was an overwhelming feeling for me. It was really exciting to see that they could listen to us, despite the fact that we had come from another country. They didn't want to put up any form of bureaucracy for us to. They didn't ask so much questions. What they wanted to know was, are these boys really in our territory? Are these boys going through what we said they were going through? Do we have the information to locate them? And that was all they needed, and they swung into action.
Let me take one more question on this. Has there been any lead or any confirmation of ensuring that this racketeering or this gang have been apprehended?
It's a huge business, this racketeering thing, and I now know what is called HK, Hustle Kingdom. As a matter of fact, when I was leaving Nigeria to Ghana for this operation, I didn't know Hustle Kingdom, but I heard from my cameraman at the time that Hustle Kingdom was already existing in Nigeria, and they had busted some of these, Hustle Kingdoms in Delta State, some in Lagos. They had pockets of them here and there. And then I got to Ghana and I found out that they had a lot of these kind of, circuit operations going on in Ghana. Some of them are meant to promote prostitutes. They bring these girls with promises of jobs from the interiors of Nigeria, and then when they get there, they tell them the jobs are no longer available. But then the girls are already stuck. They have to pay their madam or whoever sponsored them to get to that country. So they'll be subjected to prostitution. So were these boys too. They bring them over, and eventually they find out that no jobs, and then they tell them you have to pay. So for you to pay, these are the things you need to do. And then they begin to coach them. So yeah, it is interesting to know that we have these kind of things across just our West African borders here. And I'd encourage that New Central did all this on our own. You know, there are other organizations that can take this up. The Nigerian police can take this up. I know that NITCOM is doing so much already, foreign affairs. You know, we can really continue to see that we bring an end to this racketeering and human trafficking. There's no really, there's no saying much, that you've done much on this. We just have to go on. And I'm sure that New Central will be looking to do more of these kind of rescue operations in the near future.
Thank you so much, Marshall Onoye, our very own special investigative reporter who has followed this story thoroughly. And congratulations on the results that it's yielded. Thank you once again.
Welcome.
Let's stick to security and crime-related matters now. Operators of the Nigeria Police Force have arrested no fewer than 130 suspects for high-level cyber crimes. Among the suspects are 113 foreign nationals comprising of 87 males and 27 females from China and Malaysia. The force spokesperson Muyiwa Adejobi added that 17 of the suspects were Nigerian. He said the suspects were arrested at a building at the next cash and carry area in the Jahi area of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has clarified that Nigerians in Libya are safe and continuing their daily activities without harassment, following the recent Confederation of African Football (CAF) decision against the Libyan Football Association. CAF had found the Libyan Association responsible for the mistreatment of Nigeria's team and officials during the Nations Cup qualifying match in Libya. Contrary to reports, the ministry assured Nigerians that no reprisals have been reported. Spokesperson Ambassador Eche Abuobi emphasized that the well-being of Nigerian citizens worldwide remains a top priority for the federal government, which is committed to protecting them at all times. In a major development among Nigerians in the diaspora, over 150 members of the Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Europe (NIDOE) have dissolved the leadership of their Central Executive Committee led by Bashiru Obasekola. At a recent meeting, more than 95% of attendees passed a vote of no confidence citing alleged mismanagement, constitutional violations, and financial accountability issues. Both the Central Executive and Electoral committees were dissolved, and a 7-member caretaker committee was appointed to oversee NIDO's operations and organize transparent elections within the next year. However, NIDO's legal advisor, Ursula Atueye, rejected the decision, calling it a legally void one. Obasekola, the former leader, claimed the move was an attempt to hijack the organization, insisting the Central Executive Committee remains intact under his leadership. Let's go now to health matters. Nigeria's federal government has been urged to adopt prevention and control strategies in a bid to contain the spread of Lassa fever in the country. This was during a Lassa fever roundtable organized by the Nigeria Red Cross Society and the International Committee of the Red Cross, where they say the disease has currently spread to about 28 states of the nation as of October this year. Our correspondent Amadine Uyi reports.
According to available data, Nigeria is currently experiencing its worst outbreak of Lassa fever this year. About 8,000 cases, including 174 deaths, have been recorded, affecting almost 28 states as of October 2024. Among these include about 30 healthcare workers.
The Lassa fever outbreak in Nigeria this year took an alarming turn, with the disease spreading areas that have never reported cases before.
Currently in Nigeria, we have multiple outbreaks. We are responding to cholera, we have mpox, and now Lassa fever will be looked into.
In a bid to contain the spread of Lassa fever, the Nigerian Red Cross Society has held a roundtable to strategize on efforts aimed at mobilizing community stakeholders and putting in place preventive efforts aimed at combating its effects on rural communities. The Deputy Director of the Outbreak Unit of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control urged stakeholders present to adopt the infection, prevention, and Control Strategy, also known as IPC, which is key to stopping its spread.
IPC will be one of the measures, is the strategy we have to employ too, to talk to the community, to tell them, how they can protect themselves.
The Director of Health and Care of the Nigerian Red Cross Society says that much has been done to stop the spread of Lassa fever, while the operational coordinator of the International Federation of the Red Cross called for more work to be done with communities affected to eradicate the disease.
As you know, rats are responsible for as the vector for the Lassa. So part of what we do, we distribute a lot of rat traps to vulnerable communities. We also know how hygiene promotion is key in the response to Lassa. So we also distribute disinfectants. We distributed some soaps so that people can improve their hygiene.
So we need to still working with the community, trying to engage community participants, community leaders, and also, of course, the government and other partners to raise the awareness of communities throughout this project that we're implementing, and actually try to get some leaders also at the level of the community to adopt some basic hygiene attitude, and we're sure that this will actually help to reduce and eradicate, hopefully, this type of diseases.
The forum aims to marshal out a decisive strategy to ensure that Nigeria effectively contains the spread of Lassa fever. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
After 21 years of independently funding the Abuja International Film Festival, the organizers have called on Nigeria's government to take over the festival so as to promote filmmaking in the country and reach greater heights. The organizers of the festival made this known during the awards ceremony and cocktail event, one of the program of activities for the 21st Abuja International Film Festival, which held in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Our correspondent Joshua Imarayi brings us more details in this report.
The closing ceremony and award night of the 21st Abuja International Film Festival, celebrating the achievement of filmmakers around the world. According to the organizers, this year's edition received a total of 1,254 entries from 45 countries, showcasing the global reach, popularity and impact of the festival. Award winners in selected categories shared their excitement and gratitude, expressing appreciation for the recognition of their work and the platform the festival provides for diverse voices in film.
Coming from Cameroon to grab an award in the category of Best Screenplay, for us as a Kismet team is a milestone achievement. I think the Cameroon film industry has come a long way, and we have not always been in the limelight. And I think grabbing an award in that category in the Abuja International Film Festival is a milestone achievement for us.
There are a lot of good Nigerian filmmakers, and it's a widespread, and it's not just about just being the only Ghanaian in the particular category. There are other people also in the category who were excellently well, because I also came and watched all the films that were screening. So, I mean, I'm happy that we were able to carry the award as Ghanaians as well. So it's not just for the production house as Aleb production, but also for Ghana as a whole.
Speaking openly for the first time about the lack of support, the organizers of the festival say that despite the national and cultural importance, it has never received any support from government.
If you ask me what the challenges really are, I would come back to say funding. So I'm hoping that the next edition, which is the 22nd edition in 2025, we are hoping to expand, make it bigger, get government fully involved,
We want to scale up. We feel that we've taken to this level, and we feel that government must take over the festival. We've not got any government support in the last 21 years. Nothing per se. That's the truth. I'm saying it openly. I've not said it before, but I'm saying it now. We've never had government support. We've been funding this thing practically by ourselves. But because it's a passion for us, we want to do a festival. We want to bring our colleagues together. We feel this is like our own Olympic or the World Cup, where we come together and exchange ideas.
The call for support marks a pivotal moment for the Abuja International Film Festival, as its organizers say they are hoping to secure a sustainable future for filmmaking in Nigeria. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
And thanks for joining us once again. At least 13 people were shot dead on Sunday in an attack blamed on Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces in Al Jazeera State, south of Khartoum. The Rapid Support Forces were said to have opened fire on civilians in the town of Al-Hilaliya in eastern Al Jazeera state, about 70 kilometers north of the state capital Wad Madani. Sudan has since, in 2023, seen a civil war between two major rival factions of the military government of Sudan, the Sudanese Armed Forces under Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. The Botswana elections results have left many surprises, and with such much at stake, the recent elections that saw the Botswana Democratic Party lose its long-held grip on power. News Central's Bongani Siziba was in the streets of Gaborone and spoke to citizens who shed light on their thoughts and feelings and what they believe the Botswana Democratic Party failed to do that led to its defeat.
BDP missed it by thinking that they have the youth in their hands when in actual fact they didn't. I think when it came to their rallies, they were a bit overexcited and they thought, no, we have this, when in actual fact they didn't. Issues of consulting, I'll still go back to that. They failed to even consult with the youth who were the primary voters of these elections. I think they...
South African police announced on Sunday that 225 illegal miners were arrested after resurfacing from an abandoned mine shaft due to starvation and dehydration. The miners, called Zamazamas, were forced out when police blocked routes used by the accomplices to deliver food and water to the Oakley mine in Northwest Province. According to police, hundreds more illegal miners are believed to be trapped underground. Acting National Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Shadrach Sibia reported that over 13,000 illegal miners have been arrested across 7 provinces since December 2023. Authorities have seized millions in cash and uncut diamonds in the ongoing crackdown. Illegal mining remains a significant issue in South Africa, impacting local communities and mining companies alike. Former President Donald Trump, during a campaign rally in North Carolina, described November 5, 2024, Liberation Day, and pledged to implement the largest deportation plan in U.S. history if re-elected. Trump described the habitation of foreigners in the United States as an invasion and promised to rescue every city and town. National polling has Trump and Harris neck and neck as Trump hoped to win the presidential elections.
24. This will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation. On day 1, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered. These towns have been invaded and conquered, no different than a military invasion, except they don't wear uniforms. That's probably the only difference. I'll cut your energy prices in half within 12 months because we're going to get it going. And to bring jobs back, millions and millions of jobs, will give our companies the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs, the lowest regulatory burdens, and free access to the best and biggest market on the planet, but only for those who make their product right here.
The race to the White House is nearly over, with 1 day left in this election cycle. For News Central international correspondent Afua Hagen rounds up a weekend of election campaigning by both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump.
Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are today blitzing through several swing states with just 1 day to go before America decides its next president. Trump promised a new golden age for the United States in Pennsylvania, as Harris urged voters to turn the page on hate and division at a church service in Michigan this weekend. The polls suggest the race is still exceptionally close, and we're now less than 24 hours away from Election Day in the US. The race for the White House still looks neck and neck. It's already been slated as the tightest election race since the year 2000. According to the latest numbers, Harris holds a slender 1-point lead over Trump nationwide. Now, Harris appeared on comedy show Saturday Night Live this weekend. The Democratic nominee appeared in a sketch on the US comedy show alongside actor and comedian Maya Rudolph, who is known for her impressions of the vice president. Now, in the skit, Rudolph sat down in a dressing room and looks into a mirror through which Harris, dressed in identical clothing, is looking back. Vice President Harris then delivered remarks at the Greater Emmanuel Institutional Church of God in Christ in Detroit on Sunday morning. She said, "So, church, in just 2 days, we have the power to decide the fate of our nation for generations to come." She said that at the start of her remarks to the congregation. She then quoted a line from scripture from the prophet Jeremiah, which garnered cheers and applause. "For I know the plans I have for you. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope," Harris said. She added that God's plan is to heal us and bring us together as one nation. But that's not enough to believe in those plans, she said. We must act. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump said he thought he shouldn't have left the White House after he lost the 2020 election, that he's still not conceded. He said, "We had the safest border in the history of our country the day I left. I shouldn't have left. I mean, honestly, because we did so well. We had such a great. So now, I mean, every polling booth has hundreds of lawyers standing there." He said this at a rally in Pennsylvania. The former president has refused to concede the 2020 election and has promoted conspiracy theories about that contest and about this year's election. It seems that he's laying the groundwork to dispute the results if it doesn't go his way. Now, Trump's campaign also sought to clean up the former president's violent rhetoric towards journalists on Sunday, issuing a statement about Trump saying that he was actually looking out for their welfare when he said he wouldn't mind if someone were to shoot through reporters if that person was trying to get to me. The statement was issued by campaign spokesperson Stephen Chung shortly after Trump wrapped up his remarks. It did not accurately reflect what the former president said during the Pennsylvania campaign rally and was seen as an attempt by the campaign to spin the violent comments only 2 days before Election Day. Now, the more than 75 million people have already voted in the polls that close on Tuesday evening.
Well, to further discuss this, I'm joined by Isuikwuato, Global Affairs Analyst. He joins us all the way from Texas in the United States of America. Well, in your opinion, let me start off first by saying, first off, good morning to you from this part of this part of Africa, Nigeria now. In your opinion, the election outcome will actually impact America's global standing, especially considering the contrasting foreign policy approaches of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. What's your take on this?
Oh, thank you for having me early in the morning. It was just 2:40-something Dallas time. The American election or American presidents have always impacted the world. People know what they're going to get with Trump. What they don't know is what they're going to get with Kamala Harris. So every eye is on America, and it's rightly so because of the influence that America has on the world stage. So, with the campaign, everybody's saying what it is wrong with the other side and, what they're going to do. You have to make a distinction between electioneering and actually governing. Until you get to that Oval Office and then you begin to work with Congress, you don't really know what you're going to get. But we're tired. I think American election is always unnecessarily too long. We've been on this for almost 2 years. So people are like, let's get this over with and see who wins come November, which is November 5th tomorrow. And then, America will be here. The candidates will come and go, presidents will come and go, and then America keep moving on. But I think one thing important is that Americans want a country that is not being burdened by illegal immigration. They want a country that the economy at least is on a strong footing. They want public safety because we can't be concerned with the world if our neighborhoods are falling apart. We can't be concerned about illegal immigrants coming to America and getting support when we have homeless issues in America or social challenges. So, if charity is to begin from home, America is home. And every country, again, in that same order, has to take responsibility for their own citizens. You know, immigration is what America was built on, and that's what America will continue to be built on. But it shouldn't be a right. It should be a privilege. Nobody is entitled to come to America if they haven't met a requirement, and that requirement means being given the proper visa to come and stay permanently or change their status when they get here or come and visit. Just like people go to other countries and then, do the same thing. If you choose to move from your country of birth to your country of choice, do that based on, rights to the respect to the law of the country and not get over there and feel entitled. So, again, Kamala is Kamala. She's been a vice president. When she speaks, sometimes she doesn't make sense. Those of us that are on the other side, the Republicans, when we see her say what she said, we just shake our head. How did she even get here? If the Democratic Party were actually about democracy and the nomination was done, Kamala would never have emerged, because there are other people in the Democratic Party that would have outperformed her and become a better choice. But she didn't win nomination. She just got selected by default. And that all going to come to light, tomorrow when Americans vote. So we don't know, everybody's sort of cautious and nervous. And then until the votes are counted, and we'll see who emerges. Was it November? Wednesday morning, we'll know that. Or even Tuesday evening, because, the time zones, the Eastern Coast would have voted 1 hour ahead of Texas, and then California, West Coast come behind in 2 hours. So we'll know the result by midnight of Tuesday tomorrow.
All right, but what are the most critical domestic issues that the new president will need to address, and how will their policies impact the global economy?
Well, the almighty dollar, when you look at the world economy, the preferred currency of the world, by design and default is the dollar. So if America doesn't get it right, the world economy obviously is going to have some shock treatment. And, we want people to be able to live decent life wherever they are. And so we want to, everybody talks about being in a global village, but that global village is still divided by 200 or so countries. So it's not really a village. It's just, a mix of things, a mix of countries with different interests. You now have the BRIC folks, now you have the non-BRIC folks, you have the American on the Western side. So until we come together as a people that is striving to have food, shelter, and clothing, because you got to have those things in sufficient quantity in order for you to aspire for that things in life. If majority of people in the world are still struggling about those three basic things, then there's always going to be tension. So we get it right in America, hopefully. That would trigger stability in other parts of the world. When Trump was there, it was one of the strongest economies. There wasn't much of a war. But we see what we have gotten in the past, coming up 4 years now. Hopefully we'll get a better time, if he comes back. Because, for me, if Trump had won, the second term, he would have been a lame duck president. And lame duck presidents in America usually don't do anything. They just wait for their time to get the glory of having served 8 years. But now that he's stepped out, he comes back, that'll be a non-consecutive, and that he will be the second person in the history of America to have lost an election, come back, and then win it, and then
all right, Mr. Ekeke. Yeah, Mr. Ekeke, sorry to interject, but what are the implications? I think one of the major questions is if Trump wins, he's going to implement the America First trade agenda. What do you think the implications would be, especially for America and for trade partnerships with other countries as well? Please, can you give us an answer in 30 seconds or less?
Well, America's always wanted to trade with, friendly countries. America, though, is not going to want to trade with countries that are adversary to it, that are going to be challenging it. We want to trade with everybody. Everybody wants to trade with America because we are one of the world's largest consumer nations. So it is of interest that countries recognize, that consumption power and want to export. And then at the same time, they're going to have to be open to buy from America. I mean, some of the trade deficit we have with China is China's, brings in a whole lot of stuff, but China doesn't buy a whole lot of stuff from us. And there's some other growing countries in Africa. When Trump was there in the first term, Trump was the president to say, we just don't want to export to Africa, we want to buy from Africa. And in that order, he extended the reauthorization period for the U.S. Exim Bank, which is one of the biggest export trade enhancement agency in the world, and increased their lending capacity from 135 billion to 175 billion.
All right.
Nobody's ever done that. So trade is going to be important, and America is going to lead in that effort if Trump gets back in, come next January.
All right. I know I had said that was the last question, but let me also ask you this one again, if you can answer in 30 seconds or less. Donald Trump had said that there would be a mass deportation, especially of non-Americans, if you put it that way. What's your thought on this, especially if he happens to win the election?
It's going to be a tough thing to do, because if let's say you have 6 million people and you say, I'm going to start deporting them, you're going to create the airlines that will take them out. It's going to create a lot of social tension, and that's going to be a lot of tension at the same time on the American economy, because these immigrants they live in apartments, they have some money in the bank, there all kinds of things going to happen. So, but there are going to be people that will be deported. Maybe those illegal immigrants who have come in here have committed some crime, but to physically remove them is almost impossible. And then again, you're going to have the Congress. The only way it will happen and happen fast, not all of them might go, is if the House and the Senate are Republican and they're able to move fast and pass the law to say, okay, you have to go, or if you stay, this is the punishment for having violated the rights, American immigration laws to come in here. But they say these things all the time, but then when they get in there, they see those items become maybe not the priority, becomes something to be done, because you still need congressional approval to get certain things done. But if people need to be deported so that at least it becomes a lesson for them not to break into America, I support it. I came here legally. I would never have come to America if I didn't have my paper right. That's why I was able to run for mayor, run for Congress, and then do my own business and live legally. See, the benefit of coming to America legally is you avail yourself of all the things America can give immigrants. If you come in illegally, then you'll be hiding. You wouldn't even get the jobs. You may be here making money, but you may not even get the jobs, and you're always afraid. You'll be picked upon, and you can be certain things we do. So I encourage people, come to America legally. I was denied visas 2 times, and I got it the 3rd time.
All right.
When I came, I settled in. So thank you for the question.
All right. It's good to hear from you, most importantly. Well, we look forward to joining you again some other time as we discuss. The countdown indeed is on. Thanks for your time, Mr. Ekeke.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And on that note, to wrap up the news for this hour, but before we go, let's quickly look at the major stories. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to swear in new ministers today. We also told you that Abia State Electoral umpire has issued certificates of return to winners of local government elections. And as Sudan's war continues to linger, 13 people have been shot dead in Al Jazeera state. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV. You could also stream live on YouTube and on Facebook. Let me remind you that 10 a.m. is time for Jasiri. Join the ladies then. I'm Joe Hanson. Thanks for watching. Good morning.